All right, so in Genesis chapter 6, we talking about the sons of God. The sons of God was listed in Luke, but when we talk about the sons of God having children with the daughters of men, I'm gonna show you how Lamech was listed. I already told you in Luke where you can find that Lamech was one of the sons of God. That's in the Word of God, which is the Bible. So that's Lamech, one of the sons of God. I'm gonna show you how at the time when he started talking about the sons of God multiplying with the daughters of men, it was speaking on Lamech. Lamech and Noah were both sons of God as listed in the Bible in Luke. That's what Luke said in the New Testament. But I'm saying that also sons of God referred to humanity at its best, procreating with humanity at its worst. So the priests and royal kings of God, which is Order of Melchizedek, the sons of God, when they chose to have children outside of that. Now, in the case of Amram, even you can see Moses' father was listed as a son of God, Amram. Oh no, and so you also can see Moses. I mean, Moses isn't listed in that. I'm just being honest from what I acknowledge, but Moses also had a baby by someone when he abdicated and left Egypt. He went and had a baby by a lady, I believe she was a Midianite. I don't know, she was from a different nation. I'm not saying she didn't follow the Lord. All I'm saying is that he so happens not to be listed in a genealogy, and it's ironic that his wife was from a different stock. Now, we know the greatness of Moses. Like, we know that it's not 5 people that we probably can name that was greater than Moses. But at the same time, in the listing, it might have just been. So I don't know the reasons for the Lord doing what he does. But I do know that if the person was to be, it says that the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, and the same became mighty men, which were of all men of renown. Well, Jabal was a person, it says, and Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zilla. And Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zilla also bare Tubal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Nama. Now, the point being is the things that Lamech's children produced would have made them the mighty men which were of old, men of renown. The people who created the artificer in brass and iron, that's trade. That's basically masonry. That's basically skilled working into tools. You working raw materials into tools. You know, that's smiths, blacksmiths, ironsmiths, whatever the case. The smiths come from the children of Lamech. That makes them historical. If you go into probably the people who are into masonry and that stuff like that, just the symbolic part, they probably would glorify the names of Tubal Cain, Nama, Zilla, Ada, you know, certain people, Jubal, like Jubilee, he created the horns. They say he was the father of all such to handle the harp and organ. We still deal with the harp and organ right now. So somebody who is specified into that field will always look back to Jubal and say he's the father of music, right? He's the father of horns. So somebody who knew would look at him as a historic mighty man of renown. So what we looking for a warrior that's running around killing people, or a giant, but what the word says is 2 different things than what we're looking for. So we have our own ambition of what we will find when we're looking. But what the word says is what the word says. I am what I am. So the word says that the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men. So that means they were not born that, they became. They weren't just born giants like out of the womb. They became mighty men in their lifetime. It said they became. It has an emphasis. Italicized. It was italicized. So italics, you know. It was the italicization of the word became. So the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. They just mean that they became famous. They became historical. So with the instructor of every artificer in brass and iron be notable? Or would he be a man of renown? Yes. With the father of such as dwell in tents and of such as have cattle, Jabal, would he be renowned? Yes. If he was the father of dwelling in tents and having cattle, possessions, having a tent and possessions, yes. With he who, all of these people. Now it doesn't actually say. It says, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. So that's something we have to go into deeper, because Naamah probably is explained, and it's an answer for what she was responsible for. But if you look at this, people say there was two, what's the name? It was two genealogies. Why? That's why I know that it's this particular person who was a Lamech is referring to Lamech. And Adam, because of his wife, so it's and Lamech lived after he begat Noah 5. And he called his name, hold on, he say, and all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 80 and 2 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 590 years and begat not 90 and 5 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Lamech lived 777. Now, if Lamech had Noah first, and then he had more children for the next, 500 years, he had sons and daughters, So there's no, and then the very next verse, and said, and when after it speaks on Noah's son, the very next verses when it started to say that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So the very next verse, we talk context. In the context of what's going on, you should see that he referring to what's going on in Noah's time. The sons of God in Noah's time had already been listed in Luke. Well, not already listed, but you could later find on in Luke, because the Lord is always clarifying for people who misinterpret it. So if you didn't understand what they was talking about in Luke, it lets you know that Noah was a son of God, and that Lamech was a son of God. Now, at the time when it said the sons of God started seeing the daughters of men, and that they were, and that they were fair, and they took wives of all which they chose, that means you could see in Genesis 4, chapter 19, and Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zilla. And then in chapter 6, it says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So Noah took two. So when Noah took two, the Lord saw that. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. And it says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So when we think about giants, I don't even want to go into that. I just want to go into the mighty men that were old and of renown, and men of renown, which were of old. And so they was from the old days. And I'm saying that these are the people who say men that were of old. That means the father of this, the father of that, the instructor of every artificer in brass and iron was Tubal Cain. That's a man of old. He was the instructor of every artificer. That means he created that lane. He was old, men of renown. Jubal was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. For the things that the harp and organ have brung, Even though sometimes the Lord has been glorified with the harp and organ, in most cases the devil is being glorified every day, and the devil is capturing people's minds and enticing people with harp and organ. So that's one reason the Lord will be upset with the works of the fruit, with the fruit of the union of a child of God and a child of the world. So the music was created. The artifice of brass and iron, dealing with this workmanship, this smithing, doing work when God didn't create us to do work, but at the same time we were penalized to do work. So it could have been necessary to do the work, you know. But God didn't hand us tools and smithing in the garden and say, I want you to hold this. He said do it, but he didn't hand us a hoe. So we could assume that we went on our own to make things easier for us when it wasn't time for us to be, the load to be taken down from the shit, taken off of the shit. And that's why God could be upset. He who dwells in tents and as of such who have cattle, God will be upset because why are you taking possession of the cattle at any point? Why is Adam saying why is Abel saying this is my this, and why is Cain saying this is my that? The Lord provided that plentifulness for everybody. It's abundant, it's forever, etc. You know, and even in the time when we was already cursed, or the ground was already cursed rather, because we didn't get cursed, the ground got cursed because of what we did. Even in that time, still, while you living in tents and having cattle, God could see what that became in his life. Tents and cattle became property and transportation of property and equity. And now it's like, you know, you people got $1 million houses in excess while other people don't have nowhere to live. So the tents and owning, having cattle, taking possession of stuff and claiming stuff that you don't, excess that you don't need, because you only could go one cow at a time. You only can eat one cow at a time. You might could eat one cow and get milk from another one, but you only need at the most 5 cows. But people will have multitudes of all the cows, or some people don't have no food. So that I could easily see why God would be upset with sons of God for having children with daughters of men who had the type of mentality, and a combination of both of their mentality created great men who had the understanding of God, but who also had the belief that whatever the daughters of men had taught was a part of their DNA too, and that they should pursue that as well. So they was great at what they was doing, and they created things that still to this day they are acknowledged by people like that in masonry still say Tubal Cain. Why are Masons wearing hats that say Tubal Cain? Masons are wearing hats saying Tubal Cain because those were the mighty men of old. The same became mighty men which were of old and men of renown. And why? Because of these systems that they created that went towards materialism that helped create what the devil was doing. And it made a profound impact in the devil having mind control over us. Work and entertainment, all these people that they put before you is to stop you from having a relationship with God and doing what God actually wants you to do. And it's like the theme music for the devil, because if it ain't being used to glorify God, it's being used to, subtly give you the devil, because the devil was the most